wrap up that segment because I think we covered everything. Let's go ahead and move on to our next segment, which should be a little more jovial because this has a lot to do with what we talked about last week with Paul Gosar. So we are going to run down the list of conservatives taking L's this week.
Yes, some conservatives they took some L's this week.
And
it's kind of funny, to be perfectly honest with you.
especially with how angry we got last week over Paul Gosar, I would definitely love to rebound from that and just go off on him because this is going to be fun.
So before we do that, let's start small. QAnon shaman.
Okay, so this is where we're starting.
So QAnon shaman, you know the guy in
Giant,
the
giant bullhorns, American flag painted on, with all of the battle fur wearing on. You saw him at the Capitol riots. We all seen the pictures.
well, he's also infamous for his video. I believe it was in Arizona Mall, and he was like,
He was yelling
"Please
out,
look up QAnon," talking about the pedophilic symbols in the bathroom. That man, QAnon shaman, he has been convicted to 41 months, right?
yes.
He was convicted for 41 months in prison for his participation in the January 6th insurrection. And, that sucks!
I
That sucks, buddy!
And because most people who have been arrested for the Capitol riots, like for trespassing on Capitol grounds, have gotten anywhere from 6 to 8 months. To see an almost 3.5 year charge, it's good to see people who committed sedition to be punished adequately for their crimes.
Yeah, I think it's.
Because we need to make sure that this does not happen again. We cannot have another January 6th.
Yeah, his
If
name was Jacob Chansley, the QAnon shaman.
Because if we let this go without consequence, we are going to see people more willing to go against the government like this again.
Yeah,
And this was not a tourist trip. This was a terrorist attack.
yes.
I know tourist and terrorist sound very similar. I know. I know it's very difficult to tell difference between the two, but you gotta make sure you know the difference. I know some congressmen have told you otherwise, but please listen. There is a difference.
Yeah. So Jacob Chansley, QAnon shaman, 41 months. What you gonna do, bud? See you in 3.5. See you in 2.5 years.
He's probably just gonna keep complaining about his diet. Because did you hear like he was?
Yeah, he wasn't getting his like vegan.
I think it was like vegan or keto or something like that.
Yeah, which I mean,
Which
I do feel a little bit bad because I mean, if
like
you
the
are vegan, you should be given options.
because I mean the prison system does treat people awfully.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
be frank here.
yeah, let's be frank. The prison system is terrible.
And like the reason the left advocates for improvement of our prison system is not just to help leftists; it's to help everyone.
Yeah, so I do feel bad for him in the sense that if he has dietary morals such as veganism and he wants to adhere to it even though he's in prison, I feel that it is his right to be allowed to adhere to that. And it does suck that he's not going to be getting that right. But on the whole, if you really didn't want this to happen, you shouldn't have committed a terrorist attack by infiltrating the Capitol during an insurrection.
Trying to stop the verification of the election.
With explicit threats to kill members of government.
Yes.
So, Jacob Chansley, sucks to be you, but you took a fat L.
Yep.
Speaking of fat L's, next up is Paul Gosar, who last week we covered the fact that he implicitly threatened Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as well as President Joe Biden with his edited Attack on Titan intro. And last week we said that we really hope he faced consequences, but we didn't expect anything too serious to come.
And this has been like something that conservatives have fought hard against because like, oh, it's not breaking any laws whatsoever. He's not implicitly giving any threats. He's just fighting against socialism and the signing of the infrastructure bill, which sure, but clearly the majority of the House agrees with us.
Yeah, he was censured today
And I think
by
it was,
Nancy Pelosi.
yeah, and I believe the House voted 227 to 203 to censure Paul Gosar,
Yes,
including Republican representatives Liz Cheney and
Adam Kissinger.
Kinzinger.
Yeah, Adam Kissinger, with an Ohio representative who's a Republican voting present.
Yes.
So while he didn't vote no, he also didn't vote yes.
Yes.
But regardless, the majority of Congress has agreed to have him censured. He was censured for his actions, and that means he was stripped of any communities that he was on.
So that gets rid of him on the Natural Resources Committee and the Committee of House Oversight and Reform.
Yep. Which
one of them AOC is on. I forget. I think it's House.
I believe she's on Oversight.
Oversight and Reform. Yeah.
Yes. Which I mean, sucks, bud. But
you can't really put threats on our favorite Congresswoman. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's what happens. And so for anyone saying, "Oh my God, it wasn't that serious," clearly it was serious. And I mean, Paul Gosar, I mean, he took it like a champ. He proceeded to then retweet the video again after deleting it.
So guess what?
He's like, well, I have nothing to lose now.
Because he deleted it, and then in the brilliant Louis Gohmert-esque mind that he has, decided, you know what, I'm going to send it out again. Which, you know what? Let's go ahead and take that as grounds to go after him again. Why not?
Whatever punishment could be levied for retweeting it, which could be considered a separate action, do it. But even if he doesn't, ratio him so hard. Ratio the retweet. Just hit it with the ratio plus L. You fell off. AOC better. Or hell, don't even say AOC better. Say ratio plus L plus Ted Cruz better. Something like that.
Oh my God.
Like ratio plus L plus Nick Fuentes was right. I don't know.
Stop. Please stop.
I don't know.
Please stop.
Just anything to get under his skin. Ratio plus L plus dentists aren't real doctors. But he took an L, and I'm glad he did.
It was super satisfying to do our pre-stream research, because we were originally going to talk about, of course, QAnon Shaman and the rest of the conservatives we were going to talk about later. But Paul Gosar was the icing on the cake.
Especially because as of this recording, our video on Paul Gosar is our most popular video ever.
Yeah.
Which was really surprising to us because we really didn't think we had said anything that was too, inflammatory, outside of me saying that I wanted to, have an aneurysm and I lost brain cells because watching it. But outside of that, I didn't think that it would be that popular, but it is. So thank you all for watching and giving your support on the video.
Honestly, no matter what your political alignment, the fact that you came and watched shows that we are doing something right.
And if you dislike the video and you commented about how we're cringe libs, that's fine too. You're contributing to the algorithm, so thank you.
We really appreciate everything you guys are doing.
So
let's go ahead and move on. Which one do you want to tackle next? Who are we taking down next?
So the next man to take an L has been taking L's for a while, but that is Alex. Wait, why am I blanking on his name?
Who is this guy again?
How am I blanking on his name?
Oh wait, you're serious. How are you? You're actually serious. You actually forgot his name. I thought this was a bit. It's Alex Jones.
Yes! I literally...
How did you forget? I thought you were doing a bit.
No, I actually completely blanked on his name.
How do you forget the
guy? I said Alex, and for some reason, my mind immediately went to the YouTuber Alex Bale. Which, Alex Bale is nothing like Alex Jones.
For one, he actually has a YouTube account.
And two, Alex Bale's conspiracy theories are about SpongeBob SquarePants and they're completely harmless. Alex Jones's conspiracy theories are about people's dead children.
So recently he was put under trial by 10 separate victims who alleged that his actions led to their inability to live comfortably. So pretty much like everyone knows the Sandy Hook massacre and how Alex Jones had perpetuated lies saying that they
They
were
were.
state actors and that their parents were a part of it, and so his audience allegedly went after them and harassed them, forcing them to move several times.
There was one family that unfortunately had to move 10 times since the Sandy Hook shooting.
Actually, was it 4 victims or 10 victims? Was I right on that?
It's 10 victims.
10 victims?
It was
Okay.
10 victims, and one family had to move 10 times,
Okay.
which, in my opinion, is absolutely ridiculous. Having to move that many times because someone told a lie about you. Let me see if I can get their names.
Well, I'd rather
I,
not spread their names because I don't want to.
actually, yeah, that is a good idea.
Let's not spread their names because I don't want
I
to
mean, their
continue.
names are public and they
But I
were
don't
in
want
the
to.
article,
I,
but
I
yeah,
do not want to continue any harassment towards them just for their sake.
that's fair.
They've suffered enough.
That is very true.
But to go on, the reason Alex Jones has received a massive L is because he was found guilty, and drumroll please, by default.
He refused to give the court the documents that
Were
were,
relevant to the case.
yeah,
Like, he refused to, they specifically asked for financial documents pertaining. I'm guessing they were trying to find a connection between him spouting his lies and the monetary gains that he
yeah.
accrued because of
They
it.
were specifically, the specific thing that the case was about was that Alex Jones profited off of the misinformation that he spread about these people and also profited off of the subsequent harassment that came from his misinformation. And he did. And submitting those financial records would have completely solidified that fact, so he decided not to do it. But by nature of the case, not doing it means he's guilty
Yes.
by law.
Yes. So he decided to give up and just let it go by default to declare him guilty.
But he's not actually giving up because he is trying to appeal the case.
He's going to. He's going to appeal it for sure. But this is still a great big L because it is still a mark against him in the public marketplace of ideas.
Yep. And if you guys somehow don't know who Alex Jones is, he's a lunatic. He's absolutely insane. Like he to quote, and I am not being ableist when I say this, this is a direct quote. He has said, I'm kind of retarded. Those are his words. You can look it up. That is who this man is. He has believed that the water in our systems turn frogs gay, whatever that means.
That's something to do with the feminization of society.
Whatever.
Yeah.
There's that. He has gone around Texas screaming his head off about the radical Muslim socialist jihadis, whatever that means. He affiliates himself with Paul Joseph Watson, which, if you associate with Paul Joseph Watson, that already is an L in and of itself. But yeah, Alex Jones, he's been deplatformed so many times. He sells supplements because they all sell supplements, and he's just a crackpot. And it's good that he took this out because this was actually one of his bigger claims to fame. This actually kind of propelled him a bit more into the public spotlight because of how relentlessly inflammatory he was about the Sandy Hook shooting.
Yeah, because that's his most, like, when people think Alex Jones, they think Frogs Gay guy, and they also think Sandy Hook Massacre. Like, those are the two things that come up in people's head when they think Alex Jones.
Yeah. And so, sorry, Alex, took an L.
Took a big, massive L.
And now to round out our quartet of failure, we have, of course, Steve Bannon, one of the co-founders and executive board members of Breitbart, which is a far-right news organization which proliferated during the time of Gamergate.
Is he currently or was he?
He's formerly.
Okay.
He was at the top for a while, but once he was brought onto the Trump campaign, he resigned. And then there was a brief stint where he was no longer working for Trump, so he came back to Breitbart, but then left once he was given another position within the Trump
Yeah, because he was
cabinet.
brought on as an advisor to the president, if I'm not
He
mistaken.
was brought on as an advisor to the president's political campaign.
Oh, just to the campaign. Okay.
So during that time, he left Breitbart because obviously conflict of interest, you know how that works.
Right.
And so after that point, after that period, there was a period where Trump's president, the campaign's no longer happening. So he returns back to Breitbart. He does his thing as leading Breitbart, but then he gets picked up by Trump, I believe, to work as it's some form of security. It's not cyber because that was Rudy Giuliani. He worked with Trump as some form of security advisor of sorts.
I think I know what you're talking about, but the name slips me as well.
Yes, I believe he worked as some form of security advisor to Donald Trump, so he left Breitbart. And he was, of course, one of the many people that was considered instrumental in perpetrating the January 6th insurrection.
Now,
So we
mind
come
you,
full circle from our first person taking an L.
and mind you, this is not his first big L, because remember, he was pardoned by Trump earlier, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes, he was pardoned by Trump.
And that had to do with him lying to Trump supporters and taking them of their money, and mostly in donations. And I'm pretty sure he even joked about it. But I would
Yeah,
have to find those clips again because I believe those clips are like 3 years old or something. Because I'm pretty sure he was pardoned fairly early in the Trump administration.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, considering the fact that he was considered a massive player in the January 6th insurrection, he was asked to be in front of Congress and present his case. And unfortunately, he neither presented documents to Congress nor appeared in front of Congress. So, two charges have been filed against him in contempt of Congress, which vary in charges up to a max of 1 year in prison for each charge.
So for if he's found guilty,
Because
he
he's just been indicted at this
yeah,
point.
he's just been indicted. He will be arraigned tomorrow in front of a magistrate. And so, assuming he's found guilty, the maximum he can suffer is 2 years in prison with a $2,000 fine. Which, I mean, $2,000 for him
It's nothing. He
he's
was
rich.
like, again, he was a leader in one of the biggest right-wing news organizations out there.
And he was also close ties with Trump. He worked in the administration. So he has money. 2 years. I think it's fair. I think anything more than 2 years would be excessive for criminal contempt because
Mind you,
it's not like he did anything bad in the sense that he hurt people by committing criminal contempt.
Because yeah, he could be instrumental to the January 6th insurrection, but that's not his current charge.
Yeah.
His current charge is not coming in front of Congress in order to talk about the fact that he may have led an attempt at an insurrection on January 6th, but that is not the current charge.
Yeah, his current charge is just criminal contempt, and within regards to that, 2 years maximum, I feel is fair. I don't think he'll get the full 2 years. I think he'll get anywhere between 6 to 9 months.
I mean, it's Congress. He's a high-level player. He's going to get off easy.
Yeah, I think he'll get anywhere between 6 to 9 months and somewhere in the ballpark of like 550 to maybe to $1,500 fine.
And this time Trump isn't around to help him out.
Yeah. So it's not the big L that we're hoping he takes, but it's still an L nonetheless, because
it might be the smallest.
He's going to jail.
It might be the smallest L, but it's the subsequent L to an even bigger L that we desperately needed payback for.
Exactly, and he did inform his fans on Getter, which is a right-wing social media app, that this is the misdemeanor that Pelosi and Biden will regret, in that they have the Hispanics and the African Americans on their side. And I don't understand what that meant. I guess it meant that they have a bigger base of supporters than
I think it's going to like Okay, now that you say the whole thing, I might have to rephrase that because I was going to go a different way, but now that you said the whole sentence, I might have
Yeah,
to
I
take that
think he
back.
may just mean that there's a bigger support base for him than
Which
he thought, which I mean isn't
it's not
inaccurate.
inaccurate because
It's not inaccurate. There are black people and Hispanic people that probably do support Trump and Steve Bannon, so
I
it's
mean
not wrong.
the Hispanic vote did grow in 2024 of Republicans.
Yeah, so it's not wrong. It's just kind of why'd you say it?
It's
It's
meaningless.
yeah, it's a little weird just to say it because we know
Yeah,
they're of course, they're black people and Hispanic people that support you. They support there's people of all races that support anything. So yeah,
yeah.
but I mean whatever.
So we have our quadruple power team
The
of L
oh,
takers today.
the four horsemen of L: James Chanley, Paul Gosar, Alex Jones, and Steve Bannon. They all four of them, they took some hot L's, some worse than others, two with jail time, one with censorship, and another losing and probably gonna pay a fuck ton of money.
Honestly, I am so happy to be rewarded for being angry at Paul Gosar last week. I feel incredible roasting him so much.
Yep. Remember, people, ratio plus L plus you fell off plus dentists aren't real doctors.
But
Even though dentists are doctors, just say it just to get under his skin. I doubt he reads his tweets anyway, though.
yeah, so that concludes that segment. So we're gonna have a